writing her life of crimes against the people of the world. Gaddafi turned Libya from a gas station for the West into the most prosperous African country on earth, and he had aspirations to unite Africa under one socialist government, strong enough to defend itself against the forces of imperialism like Hillary Clinton. Gaddafi's vision of Pan-Africanism was inspired by Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of our party, the All-African People's Revolutionary Party. Pan-Africanism is not just a political ideology, it is a strategy for the ultimate defeat of imperialism. You see, a united socialist Africa cannot be exploited by imperialists seeking to plunder African labor or natural resources, because a united socialist Africa will have the use of our own labor and our own natural resources to protect the people and the land against whatever the fuck Hillary Clinton thinks up. Our comrade Gaddafi was killed by a NATO attack. A united socialist Africa has the material force to stop everything NATO could throw at it. A united socialist Africa even means the very death of imperialism. So of course, the wicked witch of the West, Hillary Clinton, just wouldn't allow it. Tonight, she's peddling a new book, Something Gained, Something Lost, or Something Lost, Something Gained. A united socialist Africa was lost for a time. The return to open-air slavery in Libya was gained. Under Gaddafi, Libya enjoyed actual democracy. You don't know what that means if you're in the West. Like, people even got to decide like how much of the oil percentage would go to what causes, what the communities, people got to decide that and meet. Lost. Under Hillary Clinton, Libya's colonizers are once again exploiting her people and her natural resources, her oil revenue. In May of 2011, months before the brutal assassination, Hillary Clinton was in Italy urging the former colonizer to set up funds against its former colony. And in 5 months, Gaddafi was gone. And the oil companies were making profit, something gained. Under Gaddafi, free education was the norm. Over 50% of the college population were women, higher, in fact, than the United States at the time. Libya even had an equal pay for equal work law that ensured the rights of women in the workplace. Something lost. After Hillary, the self-proclaimed feminist, the self-proclaimed champion of women's rights, right-wing militia using U.S. weapons now see women's equality as a threat, and the U.S. uses that as a further justification for their presence. They're using the same strategy against our comrades in Hamas in Palestine, and we're not going to fall for it again, are we? No. Hillary Clinton is on a long list of imperialists who will one day have to face a quarter of the people consisting of Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Instead, a book peddling lies, spreading propaganda for war with Russia and China and the ongoing war against Africa. You see, the dream of a united socialist Africa was not lost with Gaddafi. Our comrades in Mali, in Niger, and Burkina Faso are working together in a new confederation of Sahelian states. There's already a long list of imperialists working to sabotage this. There's already been assassinations on our comrades there, and they've throttled every one of them. There's even been U.S. military presence who've been exposed. No. Hillary Clinton's book is a weapon of class war that wants to justify and exceptionalize U.S. intervention. What will the Hillary Clintons of the world say about our comrades in the Alliance of Sahelian States? Maybe they're not democratic. Anthony Blinken, one of the butchers of Gaza, condemned a news site, Africa Stream, saying it's spreading Kremlin propaganda because we called out coup attempts. The African Socialist People's Party is facing repression on the grounds of interfering with bourgeois elections simply for spreading the truth that the U.S. is an imperialist state that must be overthrown, and that voting for KK, Canada Harris, Holocaust Harris isn't going to do anything but damn African people and damn everyone else on the planet. We're not going to believe their lies because we learned from Gaddafi. Frantz Fanon tells us that colonialism is just naked force and that can only be stopped by greater force. We need to build that force. We need to build permanent revolutionary organizations. If you're not in one, join one. If you don't like them, create one. History has shown us that we have one choice, Pan-Africanism or slow death. Hillary Clinton has worked her whole life delivering slow death to the people of the world. When she found out about Gaddafi's disgusting, brutal assassination, she laughed. When our turn comes, we're gonna laugh at you, Secretary Clinton.
Misha is the Vice President of AFSCME Local 1790, proudly representing the workers of Portland's behavioral health and housing programs.
Good evening. I'd like to take a moment to remember a sister and a comrade of mine who did a lot of work for our movement. Eliana Letzter passed away on the 13th of October. We remember her as a revolutionary communist and a militant in the struggle against imperialism. Comrades, union siblings, sisters and brothers, my name is Misha Litvak. I am the Vice President of AFSCME Local 1790, as well as a member and a steward. The workers of 1790 proudly serve our community's most vulnerable by staffing the behavioral health and shelter programs in the city. I personally work at a culturally specific LGBTQ shelter as a case manager. I help people access resources like legal aid and job training. We are the last stop before the streets, and for many, the first step back inside from them. Democrat politicians use programs like mine, the labor done by the workers at these programs, and the living conditions of the people we serve as political props. Neither the Democrats nor the Republicans have any vested interest in solving the housing crisis. Their whole political structure relies on being able to levy the threat of homelessness against all workers. This means you. That is how little we matter to them. They would rather workers starve and freeze than be in the position to make serious demands. Democrat politicians are as bloodthirsty and hawkish as they paint their opposition and are more than happy, eager in fact, to use money skimmed from workers' paychecks or siphoned away from social programs to pay for proxy quagmire wars in Ukraine, to finance a genocide in Palestine, to prop up a fascist dictatorship in the Philippines. The comrade who spoke just before me mentioned this as well. Yesterday was the anniversary of the brutal coup staged by Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration against Comrade Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, which at the time did hold the highest standard of living in Africa. That was in 2011. The same year, federal funding for housing assistance was cut by 13.3% for a figure of $6.2 billion. The budget for the U.S. military was increased by $18.2 billion the same year. How much money wasted on assassination and torture could have been put to good use, making sure people had a place to live? How much suffering does $22 billion pay for, and how many people could it have helped? The barbarism the U.S. exports abroad is reflected in the conditions of people living on the streets here in Portland and in cities all over the U.S. In turn, the cruel conditions of our houseless neighbors we desensitize ourselves to daily normalize the horrors of war. Democrat politicians have made it clear enough through their strike-breaking, warmongering, and penny-pinching whose interests they serve, no matter how much they try to pander to a proletarian image. As workers, we know our struggle is global, and its terms are not set by these crass political careerists, weapons brokers, and glorified slumlords.
That's right. Yeah.
Our fight continues in our union locals and our councils, on our shop floors, and in the streets. Thank you.